Hi there, welcome to the most recent episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is a claim by a former nurse who vows she'll blow the SNP's COVID scandal wide open at the Scottish Inquiry in 10 days' time. If you want to support the channel, you can become a member, you can subscribe, which is free, or just click the thumbs up when you see a video. That would be a great help, thanks. So, the former nurse Leslie Roberts, who has led the campaign for justice, including criminal complaint for corporate manslaughter against Nicola Sturgeon and Jane Freeman, is ready to give evidence on May the 22nd at the COVID inquiry. She's going to be doing this over 2 sessions, and she's promised to blow apart the Scottish Government's handling of the pandemic. This whistleblower has received threats and abuse for speaking out about what really happened during the COVID-19 pandemic from the front line. She's reported Nicola Sturgeon and Jane Freeman to Police Scotland for corporate manslaughter, and she's been summoned to the inquiry by Lord Brailsford to the Scottish Land Court on George Street in Edinburgh, Wednesday, May the 22nd, to give evidence over 2 sessions. Ms Roberts said, "It's a double dunter. I think it might be worth getting the popcorn in, because I will not be holding back." It can now be revealed that Ms Roberts has already met with inquiry officials to discuss 3 different areas. The circumstances leading up to her mother Letitia's death in 2021. She said, "I have an SPSO outcome which challenges Inverclyde HSCP in a number of behaviours. Her former job as infectious control nurse with NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde, and the impact the lack of adequate PPE and infection control process had on patients and staff in the wider community." Ms Roberts said, "I also spoke about DNR, to do not resuscitate orders, and the NICE NG191 protocols, which ended patients' lives rapidly." Her role as an accredited Unite Trade Union rep, she said, called to discuss PPE and other issues including risk assessment, rider recording, hazard definition tables and other things which impacted on human life during the pandemic. Woofed. Speaking to the Scottish Daily Express, Ms Roberts said, "I will be speaking about how basic infection control was ignored and how all relevant protocols that would have kept infections in one place were thrown to the wind. Nurses were even taking their uniforms home to wash. I'll be speaking about how all the evidence on face masks was ignored. In some cases, the masks even arrived in boxes which said, 'Warning, does not protect against coronavirus.' They did not protect against infectious aerosols, which is why they told us the virus was spread by droplets." Oh dear. That's why they are guilty of corporate manslaughter, because they knew the masks weren't protecting the frontline workers. There was a lack of rider recording. They were in essence shredding the link between contacts so you could never trace a workplace infection back to the source. This is shocking. There was no direct link to show where a nurse or a care worker caught the virus and who they had been working with at the time. I'll be talking about do not attempt CPR. I'm going to showcase what was happening and say this was what was going on. Doctors were walking into a ward and nobody who fell under protected characteristics were getting deemed do not resuscitate. They were showing people to their deaths. They were escorting them there. She also intends to raise her police complaint against Ms Sturgeon and Ms Freeman, which is still under investigation as part of Operation Copper, the long-running probe jointly led by Police Scotland and the Crown Office to examine avoidable COVID-19 deaths in care homes and other public settings. Ms Roberts said, "At the end of the day, that is who I think is to blame. Nicola Sturgeon, Jane Freeman, Jason Leach, and even John Swinney. All that cabal of incompetence that deleted their messages and failed to keep minutes from their meetings will never We will never know what they were discussing. And anybody that's art and part needs to go to jail. In a normal society, anybody who's done what they've done would go to jail. But how can this investigation possibly be impartial with the Lord Advocate who sits as a government minister? I'll be throwing that in for good measure. Many of those surrounding the death of Miss Roberts' mother relate to the use of power of attorney. However, her daughter found a DNA CPR notice in a laundry bag containing her mum's soiled clothing after she was discharged from the Inverclyde Royal Hospital in 2020. That is shocking. I think this whole episode needs to be outed. It's just, I mean, this woman's lost her mother. But what I would imagine's happened here is her mother, while she was in hospital, her daughter would obviously have visited her, and I think those in the hospital would have been well aware that the daughter was a nurse of obviously quite a high position. And I wouldn't be surprised if that note was left in the washing deliberately, just to let this poor woman know what the state had done with her mother's care. She was power of attorney, I take it. She is the person that should have the decision on things like do not resuscitate. And the fact that these decisions were taken from families, I think, is despicable. And whoever was liable and responsible for making such decisions, of taking that power away from families, deserves, as a minimum, outed in public and potentially charged with criminal activity, because it is shocking what's happened. I'm quite new to the party of the COVID thing, where I've been speaking to a lot of COVID vaccine victims over the last few weeks, and it's really opened my eyes up to what was really going on there. But as I learn more about what happened in the early days of COVID, and not just, you know, what happened a year later once we started getting vaccines out and about, the whole thing was dealt with deplorably. And I know people were under immense pressures at the time to dealing and making decisions on this thing that was horrific. But the decisions that were made, the cover-ups that were made, this gold command or whatever, this cabinet within a cabinet that was called, that simply did not have any minuted meetings at all. They met almost every day, never minuted a single meeting, suggests that there is a cover-up. It's pure and simple. And a cover-up's bad enough, but when you're trying to cover up things that you've made a complete arse of and caused deaths, is sickening. And I wish Miss Roberts all the very best in her obvious campaign for justice for not only her own mother, but anybody who lost family at this horrific time for the nation. So good luck, Leslie Roberts, and I just hope someday that those held account, or those are should be held accountable, are held accountable in the proper manner, because there's still a lot to come about the whole COVID scenario and the way it was dealt with, which wasn't very good. If you enjoyed the video, maybe a bad term to use, but if you liked the video, got any information out of the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell. And unless you're Nicola Sturgeon, any of these people named in the ridiculous Scottish COVID decisions, everybody else have a great day. Cheery bye now.